not get married. That's huge value right there. And I that probably comes up every other episode, but dude, like you don't really truly understand what that it means until I don't know if it's as you get older or as you start running into problems or it's maybe a combination of the two. You know what I
I
mean?
don't I don't want to stop you, but you touched on something. Running into problems. When you start getting injured or you start getting older and things start getting achy, you have no choice but to move on from certain things. Now, for example, you might not be able to barbell squat, but you can go to another squat pattern. It doesn't have to be a barbell squat. So you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to play this for the long run. I mean, for some people, barbell squat is one of the worst things for leg development. For others, it's the best. So it depends. But you'll make ton of progress on the hack squat. You can switch to a SSB squat. There's so many things that you can do. I mean, Dorian Yates barely squatted. I mean, granted, the guy could look at a barbell and grow, but still, it just goes to show you that you have to adapt. Like skull crushers destroy people sometimes, with their elbows. I mean, I used to be an absolute staple for me, and I don't even touch them, and I think my arms are some of my best.
Dude, I was just
Yeah,
gonna say, I was gonna bring this up, like, because you did. Okay, first off, we ironed that out. Don't get emotionally attached, folks. If you're
absolutely
not,
not.
even when you're not running into problems, don't be afraid to just cycle through some stuff, figure out what's working, figure out. And when I say working, what feels good on your joints, on your connective tissue, on your muscle tissue. What like, don't be afraid to just go outside of what the tradition is. Oh, I got a barbell like you said, squat or barbell deadlift from the floor.
Yeah,
Man, do it from a
yeah.
rack if that feels better on your spine. You know what I mean?
Tell me about it. Yeah, but a lot of people. But I do love a deadlift. It's probably my favorite movement to perform. But like you said, if it's beating you up, like the risk reward is it's just not there. If it's going to take you out of the gym for weeks at a time, why would you do it? You know,
Absolutely. Do you know what's funny?
mm,
When I first got into it, I love deadlifts, man. I think anyone who just starts off
my
in that,
favorite.
yeah, it did something, man. It did something to my. I think this is just it's a belief, I guess. Like we don't really know what contributes to growth. Like out of all the
Yeah,
exercises you do, how do we really know what it is? But let's just say my intuitive kind of feeling is the influence that had on my back development, like I think was immense. But maybe I could be
well,
wrong, you know?
I agree. You asked me before, how did my physique change from, let's say, when I was 28 to when I was at my peak in 2017? And I would say after 2015, I started becoming obsessed with deadlifts. And it was the best thing that I ever did for my entire posterior chain. My traps, my rhomboids, just the density of my back, my spinal erectors, my glutes and hams. Any kind of conventional deadlift for me just destroys my glutes. And
Mm.
I love it. I don't do any direct glute training. So even Brett really doesn't do direct glute training. Not until as of recent, I've seen him do some hip thrusts. But try to find a better posterior chain than Brett. It's going to be maybe Ben Howard, maybe those two guys, some of the best.
But okay, I'm not trying to compare. I'm not even gonna try to compare, but dude, both of these guys deadlift and they have
Yeah,
incredible backs like that.
incredible.
You could say genetics, you could say all you want, but
Yeah.
I do really think there's maybe for natural bodybuilding, there's a place for it, and I think it has immense value. If
Yeah.
you can do it and you program it in properly and you're doing it in a safe way and all that good stuff, we're not discrediting that. Like obviously, if you're feeling some sort of joint problems while you're doing it, probably not a good idea.
Oh,
At least the way you're doing it.
yeah,
Switch it up, man.
I'm victim of that. I mean,
Right.
that definitely had led to my back issues because I was at a point in 2016 where I was deadlifting as heavy as I possibly fucking could 2 times a week. One day was directly after a leg day. Like I didn't give a shit, but I was fine. I would get like little tweaks here and there, not knowing in hindsight that signals basically saying like wake up, wake the hell up, dude. You're fucking yourself up.
Uh,
But I don't think like that. I never thought like that. I'm too stubborn for my own good. I'm too hard headed. I have a bit of that David Goggins mentality where it's like, yeah, you kind of embrace the pain. It's like part of the process. That's how I was like. Like I said, I was raised by freaking Flex magazine, so I didn't know too much. But yeah, I don't regret it though. Yeah,
it,
fuck
it,
it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you were doing it for an athletic. You were a competitor, man. You're
And I
going
loved
into
it.
a contest, right? So yeah, and you loved it, and at the end of the day, I could. Did you learn from that? Like, would you do that
Oh my
in
god,
that way again?
never,
No, right? Like, let's be real.
never.
That doesn't mean you're not going to do deadlifts ever again, potentially, or maybe you won't.
No, I
Regardless,
have to. That's like mentally, that's part of my rehab. Like I want 405. I just want a light 405, just to
a
pull it up
light.
once. Painful. Yeah, I was strong. I was pretty decent at deadlifting. So yeah, I just want a nice light 405. Pull it up one time just to say like I beat this back injury.
Hmm.
That's it.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I feel
Yeah.
you. And I'm just gonna add something in that again I think goes with this conversation. Because you were talking about when you were doing the dips and you kind of screwed up your shoulder. It's funny because there's so many factors that go into it, not just exercise execution. Because when you look at it from a satellite view, if you're not programming that in properly, like you're a competitive bodybuilder or you're someone who lives that lifestyle and you're doing something the same movement over and over twice a week, even once a week, but you never cycle it out. Those are other influencing factors. Recovery, your sleep, all of that can
Yeah.
influence
Absolutely.
when you do not hurt yourself, right? So I just wanted to
Absolutely.
I want to throw that in there because I think it's super valuable.
And even with programming, like having a back day with a hip hinge too close to a squat day,
Mm,
stupidity, But
right.
I didn't. My ego was just like, I'm getting stronger. It's going up. I feel great. Fuck it, I'm going for it. I couldn't help it. I knew better, but I didn't care.
Tell me some more like how would you do things a little bit differently now? Let's say you're healthy right now. You're in your body's you overcame whatever, struggles, injuries,
Yeah,
etc. How would you start to and say you even did you know what I mean? You built up to maybe now you could deadlift. Well, how would you program things a little differently for yourself?
I would do a lot less movements. I would throw away a ton of what I used to do. If I was to do like a back day, for example, I would have pull ups for sure. That's a staple for me. I think pull ups is one of the most underrated back movements there is. Some form of a dumbbell row, either standing two dumbbells at the same time row, or the traditional knee on the bench, or go against the dumbbell rack. Some kind of dumbbell row, a deadlift, and a form of a supinated pull down, like a single arm supinated pull down, something along those lines. Like I would program out certain lifts. There would be times where I wouldn't need a deadlift, especially if I'm doing RDLs on a leg day, for example, things like that. But one thing that I wouldn't change is the way I train my arms. I always find arms are well being supersetted together, bis and tris together. You got to pump as much blood as you possibly can into your arms. I always find people thrive that way. That's something I learned from John Meadows. I always had genetically, I had good arms, but once I started training the way he told me with my arms, I mean, they just developed so well. They just became complete.
Do you have your own arm day?
Yeah, I do. I personally, I feel great on that. I've done push pull days plenty of times, but I just find I'm in the gym so fucking long that I don't like it. I don't want to be in the gym for an hour and 45 minutes. There's nothing in the world I want to do for an hour and 45 minutes. My favorite thing, I like eating hamburgers. I don't want to do it for an hour and 45 minutes. But yeah, and I exert myself a ton. So if I'm doing chest and shoulders together, which I love, I'm dead after shoulders. I'm dead. And I don't really shoulder press. I haven't for a long time. But another thing, genetically I've been, kind of good in that department.